by saying that this has been the most hilarious E3 I've ever seen. And I used to watch E3 on G4 before it was called G4. Does anyone else remember what that was called? Whatever. It had good shows back then. I remember that. So, I have an Xbox 360, and it is my favorite system that I've ever owned. But Microsoft's implosion is hilarious. What a beautifully orchestrated downward spiral. I honestly thought that the Xbox One was a joke originally, before E3, when some of the features were being leaked and released and stuff. I thought it was a huge joke to see how the consumer base would respond to things like that so that they could go, surprise, we're actually releasing something good. That didn't happen. It definitely didn't happen. I was wrong. I was too optimistic because the 360 is actually a good system, so I assumed. So would the Xbox One. Because really, how stupid can you be, right? However, you have to give big props to Sony for the level of shade they were throwing the entire time. The video talking about how you can share games, that was golden. They saw a weakness in their opponent and they went right for the throat. It was beautiful. However, as awesome as seeing that little teaser for Kingdom Hearts 3 at the end of the Final Fantasy stuff, and Final Fantasy looking really cool anyways, some sort of mix of Shadow of the Colossus and Devil May Cry with a Final Fantasy world, that's kind of cool. I'm going to miss a lot of the RPG aspects of Final Fantasy that I had come to love, because, let's be real, Final Fantasy as an RPG has been slowly in a decline for a while. It's been turning into something else. Like, even 12, which I loved the gameplay for, was not as heavily RPG as some other Final Fantasy games before it had been. Specifically thinking of 7 and 6, because those were some of my favorites. 8 was an experiment on their part. 9 went back to the original mix a little bit more. But yeah. So new Final Fantasy looks cool. Definitely not part of the normal formula though. Nintendo though. Nintendo's the dark horse of this whole thing, I feel. The Wii Fit Trainer as a Smash character. Well done. And the Villager. Who knew that would turn into a meme so fast? Or the kind of meme that would turn into. I'm a little scared of that character now. Though to be fair, any character that can seem to catch attacks and send them back is usually a decent character in Smash, but there have been times where that's been incorrect. Some of the changes to Ness being some of the not as good things I'm thinking of there. But Pokemon was what I was most excited for, and basically what I watched E3 for, because Pokemon in 3D is something that I think we've all been waiting for a long, long time. And Black and White 1 and 2 both really got us excited for how beautiful the world can look in Pokemon games now, which is something that, we probably had not expected when we were playing with our little box houses and the door is a floor mat. It's come a long way from clicking on a television and getting a story about two little boys on a railroad track as you leave home. It's definitely come a long way from the ugly back sprites of red, blue, and yellow. And some of those Pokemon, holy cow. Noivern, if that's how you pronounce it, probably isn't. I always pronounce these Pokemon names wrong because I read them before I hear them. The Bat Dragon. That's really cool. I'm excited for it, and I'm also excited to see maybe some more sound attacks involved in the normal element move pool, because that's something that really we haven't seen a lot outside of Hyper Voice and the ever-present Sonic Boom, which is nice when you're, level 5 through 15. 20 damage every time is pretty solid. But it's definitely a type of attack that we haven't seen used to its full capabilities. But Fairy type, I almost wish they hadn't called it Fairy, because if they hadn't called it Fairy type, I would have been totally okay with it killing my dragons. But it's called Fairy type, which I'm totally okay with them adding an 18th type. It rounds things out. First off, it's not the dragons' fault that they broke dragons by adding a bunch of amazing Dream World abilities to the dragons. Like, yes, the dragons were good before some of those Dream World abilities, but multi-scale Dragonite, giving Moxie to every dragon that ever wanted it for sweeping, like, come on. You did that to yourself, guys. So, basically, Fairy type being super effective against dragons is them patching up a mistake that they created. And that's about it for my E3 response. Can't really think of much else that's really stuck out to me other than the Pokemon, which Sky Battles and Horde Battles, I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Seems like a really interesting couple of mechanics they've got going there. So yeah, that's it for E3, guys. Basically, I'm pumped for Final Fantasy, the Kingdom Hearts spoiler, Pokemon, Smash, and it looks like I'm probably getting a PS4 when I have the money for it once it comes out. But that's okay. I had a PS2. I'm okay with moving back to the system. That's all, folks.